It took almost 2 months building my biggest diorama I ever done. And now we're going to destroy it. Okay, not so dramatic. We are going to change the entire piece. The company behind this is TCL, a giant of electronics. TCL is the worldwide Olympic partner, and this project is all about to inspire greatness. And in my case, in the smallest scale possible. It's about turning one world into another. And let's tear this down and start building something completely new. I'm not gonna lie, this project is on another level. The idea of just building something around the brand TCL and the Olympic Games, it's just crazy. And if you enjoy my builds along the way, consider liking and subscribing. It's the easiest way to support my work. This project is all about showcasing TCL's worldwide partnership with the Olympic Games, aligning efforts across the globe in various areas to inspire greatness. My task and effort to be great is to build a full mountain scene, including an Olympic city, even including their products in an interesting way. I will really try to include as much as I can to build something that truly feels alive and grabs your attention. But I won't lie, 2 months of work will be gone in this rebuild. But it feels good to reuse an old build to build something new, something better. I will use a lot of resin to print all the objects for this scene. Houses, ski towers, arenas, hotels, even the smallest trees. I normally laser cut the majority of my objects, but not this time. The old diorama needs to be cleaned up, so I'm deleting all the details so I can prepare for the new base layer. I try to save things like bushes and small parts, but whenever I ask myself if I'll actually reuse them, the answer is always the same: never. So instead, the trash can gets a little snack. And by the way, I have always been impressed by Olympic athletes. The way these athletes push themselves to the absolute limit, it's something most of us can barely imagine. Years of sacrifice and training, all for that one chance to perform on the biggest stage in the world. And for me, it's almost the same. I got more chances than one time each 4th year, but the thing with performance is really similar. When I got an opportunity like this, it's all or nothing. And in that way, the competition is more than on. The base of this set is very confusing at first, but at this point, I'm mostly measuring and sculpting the rough platform for the new mountain. I use both new and old styrofoam pieces that I have laying around in my workshop. And to hold everything together, I just use joint foam. Simple but effective. This part is very forgiving and fun. When I was younger, I used to paint maps and islands with different shapes and colors. Nothing was real. It was just imagination. And this feels the same. Creating a mountain from a rough idea, just seeing where it goes, it really turns back some of the childhood. At this point, I realize how much time and effort it would take to sculpt all of this and then use plaster to cover it up and create the mountain look. If I would go that way, it would completely break my timeline. Usually I work with plaster in most of my builds because it gives a really nice rock texture. But here we work in scale 1 to 500. That's really, really small. And at that size, many of the small details just disappear. This mountain is more like a backdrop. It's meant to be seen like when you look at the skyline far away with mountains behind. And since this one will be covered with snow on top, many details will be hidden anyway, so that makes it even more forgiving. And that's why this part of the process is so enjoyable. I come back to the thought again that my original workflow with sculpting and cover it up with plaster is not for this project. It would just take too much time, and honestly, it's not needed for what I want to achieve here. I need to find something that works faster and still gives me that solid surface and structure. What I have never really tried before is making my own model plaster. Usually, I work with plaster for drywall. So my idea turned out in this. I will mix up model plaster and use clothing or fabric to build the surface. That will make it able to shape it during the curing process. And I think it would help me cover the whole piece in a very effective way. My first impression was, I nailed it. Since the model plaster has a very fast curing time, I could almost see the results immediately. The process was simple. Just add the fabric to the wet model plaster and place the sheets in position. All the rough edges on the base layer, I couldn't care less about them. Because the fabric sheets really do their job. They flatten everything out and create a smooth surface. These shapes would take a year to carve out and shape with other materials. And as I thought, it was a huge time saver. But the results were not affected at all. It still looked great. Even if I have now covered the whole mountain with fabric sheets, it still needs some more work. It appeared there were some edges between each sheet, and that would be kind of noticeable if I don't cover them up. So I go over once again with model plaster, fast curing time and super easy to work with, and in this case, very forgiving. All this will be covered up with both paint and snow later on. As soon as the colors are added to the model, most of the bad edges disappear instantly. From a multicolored model with no future to a nice looking mountain model, the color does magic. And the best part, it will be even better from here. The details that will be noticeable on distance are mostly cliff rocks, so adding some small spots of the gray color will do that work. The details will come along. And the centerpiece I mentioned before, the stadium, San Siro, a huge print that is about 30 centimeters long and will create some amazing scaling inside this build. Together with hundreds of small alpine cabins, hotels, apartments, trees, ski lifts and more, the amount of hours my printers have been working is just insane. I paint all the houses to create some sort of variation, so we create some depth and texturing inside the visuals. The roofs are not too necessary, but I do it if there is less snow somewhere, and in that way it will contain more details in the shots and more variation, which is good. I laid out the houses to see how it went, but the ground was too bold, and the houses were not able to stand straight, so I laser cut out some sort of grounding to make it easier to place out the whole city. I think there are about 160 small houses, to be exact. I almost stayed and laughed about how cool it is to see something like this coming to life. These small houses, together with San Siro and the scaling with the mountain, it's just crazy cool. In this stage, I was able to start to see how some of the visuals are going to be. All the effort and headache I had in the early beginning paid off. I can't be happier or more satisfied with how these visuals turned out. I want to thank you for watching and wishing you a lot of greatness during this special period of time. Remember, what can be seen and inspired can be done. Thank you for watching, and now it's time for the final reveal. Every journey begins with a vision, a quiet wish that grows into something greater. To wish greatness is to believe in what could be.
I'm pretty sure this will be the coolest diorama I ever built.
And to inspire greatness is to bring that vision to life. It lives in every athlete who trusts the process, in all creators who turns imagination into form, and in every idea that technology helps connect. Greatness moves through people, carried by passion, driven by progress, and shared by everyone who dares to dream. Because when we wish greatness, we inspire greatness, and together, we move the world forward.